but I want to kind of put a little bow on this Oregon conversation and then kind of parlay it into another conversation just about college football. I asked Tyson Alger last week this question, and he was like, I don't know. I think so, but it shouldn't. And I'm going to ask him that again on Wednesday when he joins the program. But, Joe, as you are here right now, I'll ask you, and Schultze, feel free to jump in as well. I was very hesitant going into this game thinking that if Oregon wins, unless they win 30-0, that the expectations shouldn't change for this team, that I felt this season was very much house money. And, you could win only 9 games, or you could go undefeated and win the Big Ten again. That with too many questions with the offensive line and what Dante looks like, we knew the defense was going to be good. But, what's this DeCorian Moore? Is he going to be any good as your number one option at wide receiver? So I was very hesitant to say that expectations have changed. But in the way that game went down, new information creates new opinions, Joe. Does the expectations for this team change now?
If anything, they're just they're ratcheted up. So I don't think it like this one game is like, oh, I didn't think they were a championship contender. But now I think it just adds more evidence that they are a championship contender. Again, going into this year, I think there was some games on the schedule where you could be like, yeah, I could see them winning this game. I could see them losing this game.
All of a sudden, Indiana's really tough.
Yeah.
Are the Huskies for real this year? That game could be sticky at Montlake.
Well, then you see how they perform in their first 4 games, and then you see how they perform in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it's not one of those like, now I think it's just like, dude, they should be in the conversation even more so. There's a reason they're now the number 2 team in the nation. That is a huge win for anybody that goes into that type of environment. And this is where I will say, like, take a deep breath. LSU got a big win to start the season.
True.
Going into Clemson
was huge.
Yeah, and
I had Clemson in the Natty.
And everyone's like, man, maybe this is the year that LSU does it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what does LSU do?
Yeah, and that's what I'll parlay into this of asking, like, what did we learn this weekend?
And not just that, what did Clemson do? So it's like Penn State.
Yeah.
Like, what if they end up dropping 2 more games?
Florida State
3 games.
Florida State smokes Bama and gets beat on Friday night.
Yeah.
So they'll parlay that into this question of what did we learn this weekend in college football? I learned that Dante Moore and Ty Simpson are Heisman frontrunners for me, with Mateer out. Maybe Mendoza gets a statement, but Mendoza is going to win or lose it against Oregon. Unfortunately, that's how they're going to look at him and that program and how that's going to play out. Do I think that's fair? No, I don't. But I'm telling you right now, Dante Moore is my Heisman candidate and the 2 best teams in the nation. I've been asking questions. I still got some. I know we'll talk about Ole Miss tomorrow and Ohio State maybe on Wednesday whenever we get to that stuff. But I will tell you what I've seen 5 weeks, 6 weeks into the season for some teams. The 2 best teams in college football right now are your Oregon Ducks and the Miami Hurricanes. Now, Cristobal, probably going Cristobal at some point.
He almost tried to their last game.
But I think that's the big benefit, as I've preached on this show, why Carson Beck is the perfect fit in Miami right now, because he might stop you from doing that stupid thing that Cristobal always does. But what I saw from Ohio State and Seattle, I'm not there. What I saw from Penn State, I'm not there. Is it fair to blame Kiffin that LSU's offense is just atrocious? Maybe not, but the reality remains that LSU's offense is atrocious. The only things that I know for sure are the 2 most balanced teams in college football are Oregon and Miami.
Well, and right now, 2 of the best wins might just be Oregon beating Penn State and Miami beating Notre Dame.
I think so.
Notre Dame obviously losing their 2 first games against tough opponents
against 2 top 10 opponents right now.
Texas A&M. That game could have gone either way, but we just saw what Notre Dame did to Arkansas. They literally got Sam Pittman fired this weekend.
And Notre Dame could have won both those games.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I think
one could argue should have.
Notre Dame, they have 2 losses to be in the mix at the end of the season. It's going to be tough. But right now they're looking like a wagon after a rough start. And to me, Miami, they have a huge prove-it game this weekend because it's the first time they don't leave the state of Florida, but which, by the way, I don't know how the hell they got the schedule they did. But
dude, Georgia's the same way.
Miami literally doesn't leave the state of Florida until they play SMU. in like 4 weeks.
And they're going to Texas, which was just a recruiting trip.
Oh my God. But they play Florida State this weekend, and Florida State's going to come into that game super pissed off.
Norvell is so mad.
Yeah.
Norvell is so mad from what happened on Friday night. By the way, you want to talk about experiences? Whoa. That Virginia crowd.
Oh my God.
Why do all those kids get to be on the field there at the end?
Dude.
You know what I mean? There's like 200 people standing in the end zone.
What
I
cracked
thought they stampeded over their own guy.
What cracked me up was like there was a reporter that was like, "Oh no, it wasn't as bad on the field." There was like multiple hospitalized people. I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Listen, I usually am all about college traditions and rushing the field and court." I was like, "That one was scary as hell."
Nobody's waiting 5 minutes before you rush the field. That looked really scary. But you know what it did? Not only was Norvell pissed off about some officiating down the stretch, whether you agree or disagree, he's going to go into that Miami game pissed off. And he's probably going to do what Dan Lanning did to James Franklin. And it's like, what are Mario Cristobal's weaknesses?
Well, and
Clock management in the end of the game. And if it's close, he's going to do everything in his power to throw him off on it. It's going to be a tough game. I thought game day was going to go to that game.
It's a must-win, not just a must-win, but a must, like, look dominant and look like the better team out there, and don't let this be a fluky win or, where you gack it down your leg at the end of the game. Again, like, you need to go out against Florida State, who I quite frankly got – and I don't know, Alabama, they just beat Georgia, so maybe they do deserve the praise and deserve to get that top 10 ranking right away.
You weren't on that Florida State train, were you?
It was a good win, but then it was like, all right, we'll give you a top 14. Oh, you go and beat Kent State by 1 billion? Let's give you number 7. And I was just like, all right, like, yeah, that's a good win for Florida State, but
side note,
are they this good?
Side note, Kent State might have the worst schedule in the nation.
Probably.
I've looked at Florida's and I've looked at Wisconsin's. Those are bad, but Kent State's playing Oklahoma this week.
Dude. Jesus Christ.
Right?
Like, excuse my language, but like how many times do you have to play like 70, get beat 70-0? But
you're right. I mean, if Miami walks out there and beats Florida State by 2 scores, I might sit here and tell you that Miami's the best team in the nation and should be number 1.
Yeah.
I know AP, we've bitched and moaned about the AP poll and whether it's valid or even necessary. We've gone to lengths of that. I don't know how you have Ohio State as the number 1 team in the nation when I think 2 and 3 on a neutral site might beat them.
They gave up 62 to Texas Tech, 66 to Florida State.
Dude, Texas Tech, Florida State, they got Oklahoma this week. What's the rest of their schedule? Kent State.
Kent State, they got Oklahoma. They do get a break with UMass. And then they go into their conference schedule, so they'll play Bowling Green and all that. But yeah, that is the toughest.
Damn, if Kent State wanted to make a playoff run, this was the schedule.
You almost had it, Golden Flashes. God.
This was the schedule to do it. Speaking of group of 5 playoff chances, we don't have them in Corvallis.